The past few weeks on the homestead has not been easy. Drought fell upon this part of the earth, and it tried to destroy every living thing. The plants, the animals, and even ourselves. In the Midwest, it's unusual to have a dry spell this time of year. It reminds me of my years living in the dry desert of Arizona, when you wouldn't see rain for weeks, sometimes months. Every day you were guaranteed sun, waking up expecting it. But when it would finally rain, it was such an event watching the dark clouds roll in, the winds change and the energy become electric as water fell from the sky like a gift from the gods. The past few weeks I was offering myself to the rain gods to make it pour, and it eventually did. It really got me thinking more about our role on this planet, the things we can't control, and the things we think we cannot control. Because it has been so hot and dry for weeks, I was doing everything I could to keep the plants alive and well, using most of the water from our rain collection tanks, pail by pail. Eventually, both rain tanks were running on empty, so I had to switch to the house water, which mainly comes from our well and a cistern. Normally, I don't water the garden. I let Mother Nature do her glorious thing. Letting the plants go longer in between waterings helps the roots of the plants go deeper into the earth to find water, creating stronger, more resilient plants. When you create the right conditions for the plants to intelligently do what they do, it requires less and less work on your part to help it reach its full potential. But recently, I planted some seeds in the garden, and the baby plants were popping up everywhere. So the waterings had to be done. And just as I planted new seeds in the garden, the garlic I planted last November was ready for harvest.
uno, bye-bye. Figure at Dio as she cried. Sobre su casa, messo dormina, over my viejo sofá.
It always amazes me the intelligence of nature. As the heat rises in summer, so do parasites, and garlic kills parasites, which is the time of year when garlic is ready to be harvested.
No.
Or in the spring, when we need to cleanse our bodies from the heaviness of winter, dandelions and wild nettles begin to grow, which are plants that naturally detox the body. I don't find things like this to be simply coincidence. Nature is intelligently designed, and with us in mind too, because we are all connected. That's why I love working with the plants. Using plants to help you transition through the seasons is a great way to deepen your connection to nature and find more balance in your health and life. The plants, the birds, the insects, the trees, and we all have a purpose here to support one another, to create life and see it thrive. The earth wants us to be well and provides us with the plants to do that. And in turn, we should do our best to keep her well. It's a cycle of give and receive, a selfless one, rooted in love and compassion, and the desire for all of life to be free and cared for. I just want to briefly interrupt this video to share how I keep my body and mind well and my spirit lifted. I hand blend my own herbal teas, and I've been working with the plants, especially the medicinal ones, for quite some time now. I'm a firm believer that anything our bodies need can be found on this earth or within us. The plants have healing powers. And now you can find my teas on my website, thenakedgardener.us. One of my herbal blends, Beam Me Up, is great for boosting men's libido, balancing hormones, and treating erectile dysfunction. It includes some powerful herbs that are known to be nature's Viagra. There's another called Free Radical that I especially crafted to reduce free radicals in the body. Because we live in a world that is full of toxins, exposed to radiation from our devices, poor diets, smoking, and chronic stress, our bodies produce too many free radicals and can't handle the overload, which can damage our cells and DNA. This tea is great for counteracting that. My Cloud9 tea helps those with ADHD or depression, And I have other medicinal tea blends that reduce anxiety and relieves digestive issues. And since we are cyclical by nature, when the seasons change, I love making a special blend that supports us in that new season. Right now, it's my summer sun tea, one of my favorites. It keeps my body cool in the heat, keeps me hydrated, and is loaded with vitamins and antioxidants. So good for the body when the summer heat rises. I love brewing this one in the sun. I just add the plants and water to my tea infuser and keep it in a sunny place. The heat of the sun naturally heats and purifies the water, extracting all of the potent powers from the plants and gives it more sun-powered energy. So good for you. You can find all of my teas on my website, thenakedgardener.us. Thanks for your support. June 20th marked the summer solstice, the time of year when there is the most light on this part of the world. When the sun is strongest and passion and creation energy rises. I can't help but be grateful for every moment that I now get to spend outside, feeling the sun on my skin, and watch everything I planted grow into its full cycle. There's something special about being part of that process. As these beautiful plants take their full shape, when they started from the tiniest seed that you planted, creating life, what is more magical than that? I am out here in the garden now, trying to just see what needs to be tended to. I'm planning on planting some more seeds in the garden and seeing if I can get any success with anything else new to pop up because it's so dry. This past week and a half, we have had like very little rain. So it's very dry. This week also, I think, is supposed to be no rain in sight. So I'm trying to just take care of the garden as best as I can. But everything really is starting to take off growing. I have some beans that are just starting to climb. I'm going to plant some more seeds though, because some of the plants that I did plant early in the season, in the spring, were of course eaten by the pest that was getting into my garden. I think it was rabbits. They were coming in through my garden gate, which I still have not yet replaced or formally repaired. I know my husband had, as you guys might remember, put a little bit of some mesh here and just kind of temporarily fasten that to the gate just to keep it out. That's been working. So I am leaving it there right now until I replace it for good. But I was out here harvesting some strawberries. I have this bed here that is already starting to fill up with a lot of just varieties of lettuces, kales, other flowers and other herbs. I have my watermelon. This is starting to really take off right now. I'm excited about that because I know that it's, of course, a very viney plant and spreads like crazy as it continues to grow. But that's also why I have it on this end of the garden, which is the side that borders the woods here. So you can see all of this right here. Most of that is jewelweed, which counteracts poison ivy. So that's what I had discovered that year when I got poison ivy, was all of that bed being taken over by weeds, and the weeds that were popping up because I wasn't able to get out to tend to them was jewelweed. And so it's kind of funny because now I laugh and just joke about how I have so much jewelweed and can obviously have a significant harvest of jewelweed and be able to make various concoctions, balms that counteract poison ivy rash. I have made some of those. I have them already saved for if I ever need to use them. Hopefully not. I'm being very, very careful now that I have had a really bad case of it to not get that again. I have, wow, look at my calendula that is just growing like crazy here. So beautiful. I always love seeing the color in the garden. I actually have, ooh, look at this. So my peach tree is actually really starting to fill in. It's getting bigger this year. I'm excited to see that. It's looking really healthy. And I am really excited about this because you can see all of these blackberries are just going to be explosive this year. So that's really, really good. I did a lot of pruning of them late last season, last year. And so I think that's really, really helping. I have been taking care of my sweet potato slips that I planted as well just before I went to Nashville because those had arrived, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to get these in the ground, or rather in the bed right now. I decided to plant them in the bed because I've planted them in the ground before and had very little harvest. And so I'm gonna try them in the bed because this is the bed that I plant all of my other potatoes in, and those are doing extremely well, as you guys can see. It is doing so good. And I mean, my gosh, look at that. This is my potato bed, raised bed. So I'm excited about that. I have my garlic that is growing and will be ready to harvest. I have my tomatillo that is getting really big. So I'm gonna have to watch this because I've of course had to continue to tie up the bamboo. But you can see it's already going to outgrow this stake. So I'm gonna have to try and think about what I wanna do to keep that upright and protected as it continues to grow. But you can already tell that those are starting to form. My elderberry is doing so good. This bed, the spiral herb garden, is really filling up. Look at that. It's so gorgeous. I just love coming out here and looking at this thing. And again, you never know what kind of beauty you can create in your space. And this is something that I just kind of intuitively built without any plans. I just had a vision of what I wanted it to look like in my head and just kind of went with it. And I'm glad that I did. It turned out so well. And all of these stones we had collected, foraged at a quarry nearby, and so it really worked out. We really were fortunate to find those, and oh, my dog, I'm keeping an eye on him. He is just running all over the place, and I'm trying to keep him from going over to my neighbors because he has a tendency of just running like a mad dog all over. And with the noise from nearby, ooh, I almost sneezed. I was afraid that he might actually go over there and bother them, and that's the last thing they need is a dog going over and disrupting their work. So let me show you. So my clematis, it's still dwarfed. It's not growing very much, and I'm hoping that that will continue to grow, though, in the future years at the very least. It's not showing any signs, of course, of dying. It's just not really growing as much as I would have expected this vining plant to do. But I just planted it not that long ago, and so we'll see what it does in the future years. It might just be that maybe this year I'm not going to see much of growth on this. But I was certainly hoping to see a lot of the trellis just being completely covered with these beautiful flowers. But again, future years, I think it will. Right now, probably not. this season. But my climbing hydrangea, though, is really starting to take over on the other side. So that's looking very, very good, very healthy. My fig tree that I planted early this spring is doing so good too. So I'm happy to see that. It loves this spot. I was a little skeptical whether or not to even plant it there at all. But I was kind of running out of spaces in my garden, and I'm really trying to think about how I want to, like, what other changes I want to make in the garden. I've already done, of course, a lot this season already. And so some of that was adding this bed. I also added, of course, the stone round spiral garden. I added, some additional shrubs like the gooseberries last year, more raspberry plants. I added my asparagus patch, my potting bench last year. I say potting bench. Of course, I have one of those in my greenhouse, but my potting center over here where I'm doing a lot of my potted plants. And so that was added last year, and it worked out very nicely for all of my peppers. So I just decided to keep that going. I have, though, a few other pots still empty that I need to do something with. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in those. And I might do something maybe more for like the fall time, some fall crop. I have, oh my goodness, yes, I've been ignoring covering my blueberries, and I already just saw, I was so excited because I had a blueberry starting to ripen, and something already got it. So I know, you guys, I know I need to cover it because the birds will get these, I know, and I am going to do it. I keep saying that, and yet there's just not enough time in the day. I am trying to keep up with so much, and still, of course, live the other aspects of my life. I know some of you guys have reached out, email me, send me things, send me messages, which is lovely. However, I can't possibly get to all of them as quickly as I would like. So thank you always for your patience on that, because usually I am outside. I'm outside working, I'm outside doing things or editing, or working on other things that I have going on. So, and I'm also, like I said last year, trying to carve out time for myself to simply just enjoy. That was one of my priorities for this year, was to have that downtime as well and not get too overworked, overwhelmed. And so I'm trying to do that. And that also means for me shutting off my phone, my computer, and just allowing myself space to do things like even read. I'm reading a lot more again right now, and just trying to enjoy time in the sun, especially those peaceful moments in the morning when it is so nice and quiet out. I mean, you can hear the birds right now singing, and it is just so wonderful. And so in the morning, it's just really nice to be able to go outside and just sit, enjoy, or read a book. And so that time for me is equally just as important as this time out here of working more hands-on with the animals, with the plants, and the other work indoors, like preparing tea blends and preparing shipments and editing video footage and content, posting, all of that stuff requires time, effort, and a lot of busy work. And so I'm trying to, again, just balance it all. And so sometimes I'm not always able to get back to you guys as quickly, but thank you for your patience and understanding of that. But anyway, I just wanted to show you some more in the garden. oh yeah, of course, my little tree garden. I added some little things here, my little fairy things. I just love adding little things like that in my garden. Just makes it extra special and a little bit more whimsical and playful, which I enjoy. I have a lot of, wow, I gotta come out here too and start harvesting some things. Ooh, a lot of lettuces and different varieties of herbs out here. This is just taking over. I need to actually cut some of that back and do some harvesting of this. But I do have things just popping up all over. I have chamomile that is just doing so well. That's so fragrant. I just love the smell of chamomile. It's so beautiful. And this is actually one of my little favorite spots to kind of walk through in the garden, because I feel like I'm just canopied by all of these plants, like as if I'm going through this little jungle here. It's just one of my favorite little spots to kind of come into, between, of course, the pokeberry and the elderberry. I mean, I have just trees all around me. And so you can see, woo, it is just so great. It's so great. I love it. So yeah, I've already been harvesting some of the gooseberries, which is fantastic because those have been coming in. My okra is starting to pop up, so that's fantastic. I had come out here and I top dressed all of the beds with the goat manure and the goats aged old bedding, and that served well for me last year as not only good fertilizer for the soil with the manure, but also it helps protect the soil from drying out. So I'm gonna try and plant some corn again, even though it could potentially be running into a little later in the season when I would want to typically start those, but that's okay. I'm just gonna try it anyway. And my squash plant that I thought was actually going to completely be destroyed is doing way, way better. So that is starting to grow quite a bit. And this garlic's gonna come out soon anyway. And around this bed I have, of course, the calendula growing, and this tomato plant. So we'll see what happens with the squash, the zucchini. I only planted one zucchini plant because there's been years in the past where I have grown different varieties even of squashes like this, summer squashes, and oh my God, my garden just completely exploded and I couldn't even keep up with how many I was harvesting. I think that was like my first year of planting, when I got a little overly excited and started planting so many cucumbers, so many tomatoes, so many zucchinis, and I had way too many. I was just giving them out like candy to everyone around me, and to the point where I think some people were a little, oh, I don't want to take another cucumber or another zucchini from you. But I just couldn't, I was just harvesting them all the time and just had way too many. So I've since learned my lesson. This year I'm planting a little bit more tomatoes than I even have in the past couple years, because I really wanted to try the tomatillo and see how that works out for me. So I'm excited to try that out and see what that does. But other than that, I've been just, of course, taking care of the animals too. The goats are doing just fine. In fact, the chickens, let me take you over there because my dog, he's back. He's just getting into all sorts of mischievous activities. Ooh, let me show you. This is for Dennis, because Dennis, he gave me last year, wow, look at this, Dennis, primrose. This is his plants that he sent me from his garden. Thank you so much, Dennis, for sending those because they are absolutely gorgeous. And I have one in my actual garden. I have a plant here in my cottage garden by the house, and I just love it. It is getting so big. It's doing so well. Both plants are looking very well and healthy. And I was so excited to see the yellow blooms from that this year. And it's just taken off and so pretty. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the thoughtfulness of sending me beautiful plants. I know I had another fan of the channel in the past send me some beans from his garden. He had sent me some beans. I tried planting them one year and they did not do that well. They were very stunted. Again, I don't know what it is with my lack of success with some beans. I'm trying just different spots too. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the spot. Because the garden is on a slope, I do sometimes have struggles with things growing on that last half of the garden that I showed you that backs up against the woods. It's a little bit more shaded there. It does get more like the afternoon sun, but not that morning sun. I mean, you could see from what I showed you guys, it's still a little dark on that side of the garden versus the other side. So this side is a little bit more shaded, which is why I usually plant a lot of my brassicas and stuff on this side. And I try to plant all of my sun-loving plants on this end. And the beans, though, are planted. I planted some right here. And again, it's doing okay. It's not vigorously growing as much as I would have expected to see it, but it is starting to really take off and climb up this little obelisk that I had put together. Again, some of the other plants were taken out by some nibbling animals. So I think I might even attempt to plant some more seeds there and see if anything else decides to grow before the fall comes along, because I might be able to get more out of the bean harvest before the end of the season. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I planted a lot of flowers in these pots in front of the house. I love them. They're looking so pretty, and the hummingbirds are going crazy over them. This one I actually had picked up at a local greenhouse, and it is so pretty. It's more like a tropical flowery plant, and I wish I could remember the name of it right now, but I'm blanking on what the name of that is. But it's just stunning, and I'm just enjoying seeing that. That's usually where I even spend my mornings, because in the morning the sun hits. My dog just take off. In the morning the sun hits from this side of the house. So this is technically kind of our front side of the house, but our entrance that we go in and out of to the house is off the deck in the back of the house. And so our front, though, faces this view, which is gorgeous. You can see my dog just running into the creek. He's as happy as can be. And so that's the view. And this is my front main step. And I usually like to lay right here in the morning, sit right here in the morning, and just look out and enjoy that view. As we move into the summer season, I'm getting out into the garden early in the morning. Summer represents fire, when nature is at its peak of growth. And although some fire can be good for the body and mind, igniting our hearts and souls so that we can bring more growth and abundance into our lives. It's important to find balance. If we have too much fire, we become easily agitated, exhausted, and burned out. But if it's balanced, we can feel more deeply, have compassion for others, and feel more satisfied with our lives. As the summer heat builds, I'm slowing down, taking more time for myself and leaning into the things that deeply nourish me. The garden is definitely one of those things. Every time I step into my garden, I feel peace. I feel like it's a place I can truly let go, not think about what's happening in the world, what I have to do later that day, or who I have to be, or what's expected of me. All of that disappears. I can show up unapologetically as me, the simple parts of myself, stripped of the expectations that are placed upon me every day, the responsibilities, and the various roles I play, whether that's being a mom, a wife, or a business owner. I can just be me. In a world that doesn't always let you be so vulnerable or isn't always accepting of certain parts of yourself or others, there's nothing like it. Mother Nature has a way at making you feel at home, welcomed regardless of who you are, what you do, what you say, or what you believe. She doesn't care. She just loves it when you show up, when you just sit with her, even if it's just for a little while.